Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. I just finished printing and painting the ruler of all evil himself,
Mephisto.
Man, I always wanted to do that. That's pretty cool, huh? And that's not the only thing that's cool, guys. Wait till you see this highly detailed statue from Wicked 3D. I am putting a link below in the description. If you are not part of their Patreon, you are missing out. And if you're not a part of my Patreon, you're missing out. I also have a link for that below in the description. So before we get started, if you have not checked out my last video on how to paint skulls, you're going to need to do that. It's up in one of these corners right now for you to check out. So for those of you who don't know who Mephisto is, he is from the Marvel Universe, and he's a demon from hell. And while we have not seen him in the cinematic MCU yet, I think with the new couple of phases that were just announced at Comic-Con, I think it's only a matter of time till we wind up seeing this guy in action. And once again, we're not going to waste any time hearing me babble about this. We're going to get right into it. All right, guys, so I am getting ready to paint the body of Mephisto this appropriately gory red. Let's go. And now we'll paint the head the same gory red. Hey, that rhymed. All right, everybody, so here is the base. This is the top part of the base, and it's this big demonic looking head, and it is super detailed. I'm really digging this right here. This would be great as just a standalone piece by itself, much less with the rest of the statue. So I am not totally sure what I'm going to do with it. I mean, this is probably one of those that I don't want to overdo it, but again, I want it to stick out just enough where it doesn't take away from the actual piece itself. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to use this smoke color here, and I'm going to go ahead and coat it, and then I'm going to touch up on it with a little bit lighter colored highlights, and then do some wash on it, and just kind of play around with it. That's about all I know what to do. So let's try it out and see what happens. All right, guys, so here is the smoke colored on it. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of Jeepers Creepers vibe on this one. You can probably see where I'm coming from on it. So I'm liking this base color, so what I think I'm going to do is I'm probably going to accent it with some brownish green. I know that may seem like an odd color, but that's where I see this going. And I'll probably do a little bit of a wash on it in some areas, and then start highlighting it with this brownish green. And then we're going to move on to the blood pool and then the horns and go from there. All right, so now we're getting ready to paint the horns with what else? Beastie Brown. All right, everyone, here is the base with the base color and the horns all done on it. And I'm still feeling like it's missing a little something. But first things first, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put a black wash all over this one. And here we go. I'm going to be using this Vallejo black wash right here, but if you do not have anything like this, you can always make up your own. Alright, so we're waiting on that to dry. I did a little testing on the body here using a little lighter red for the highlights on this. So I got a good idea as to what I'm going to do. We're going to do some pastel shading on this, and then we're going to seal it and hit it with the highlights. And on the armbands right here, I'm going to put a black wash on it, and then I'm going to go back over with that same red and just dry brush all that. Also use a little bit lighter red to hit on the highlights, and that's what we're going to do on the body and the cape. Alright, so now that we got the wash on there, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to do some highlights on this, some dry brushing, and bring out some of the accented parts on here. And then we're going to move into the pastel shading here. And on the head, I'm also going to do a black wash on the hair. So on the head, I am also going to do a black wash on the hair. Now for the head, I'm going to dry brush this back over the hair. Next, I'm going to use this fire red for the tips and the highlights on the top of the hair. So I use this Evil Sun Scarlet from Citadel here to do a little dry brushing and the highlights on the face. And now I'm going to tip it off here with a little bit of that mixed up with this orange fire here. So next thing we'll do is the teeth here with an off-white. And the last part, we're going to paint Mephisto's eyes this moon yellow. Next thing we're going to do is dry brush the body with this Citadel Evil Sun's Scarlet. Now we're going to take this burnt red and dry brush the wraps and the cape. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take some shaved pastels and we're going to shade on the inside of the crevices and in certain areas of the body. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is paint the skeletons with this elfic flesh. This is as pretty close to a bone white as you can get, and I'm out of bone white, so gotta make do. Oh yeah, and the last skull, can't forget this one. This is the one on the front of the logo. Alright everybody, so apparently my phone died in the middle of recording last night. It was a late night and I wasn't really aware of it. So I'll tell you what I did. So I painted the blood with this gory red, and then I went in and I did the gold inlay onto the base with my trusty gold leaf. If you find this at like Michael's, get it, it's amazing. And then I went in and I did a little bit of dry brushing, and I added the red on the eyes here. So next I'm getting ready to paint the teeth, and then I'm going to do some more dry brushing on here, and then we're going to get into the rest of the skulls and the skeletons that attach to the base. So for the teeth, I'm going to use a little bit of off-white. Alright, skip that. So I don't like that pearly white on a demon like this. So to me it doesn't look good. I don't want him to be all that clean. So instead, I'm going to use a bone white. That way it'll be a little bit dull and not so bright on his teeth. Alright, so 2 coats later, and it looks a lot better than just the stone off-white. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little wash here in the eyes and on the teeth, dirtied up a little bit, and then we're going to move on to the rest of the skull. So I have 3 of these skeletons that actually attach to the base, and I've noticed that there are a lot of like tissue and tendons and stuff like that on there besides bones. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint this with a gory red, and then I'm going to go back over it with a wash all over it, and then we're going to do some highlights on the bones, just like I did in my last video. Alright, and here are the 3 skeletons. I've laid down the base colors. Now we're going to do a couple of washes on them and then do some highlights, kind of like I did in my last video. Been saying that a lot, haven't I? Okay, so now that we got the skeletons in place on the base, it is time to seal it. Got the logo on there. And the last thing that I'm going to do after we seal it is we're going to put a gloss on all the blood. And we're going to call this one done. Alright everybody, that is it. If you like this statue and if you like this video, give me a hell yeah in the comment section below. I think that's appropriate in this model, don't you? No, but seriously folks, if you enjoy the content, make sure you do subscribe to the channel, leave some comments below, and make sure you give us a thumbs up or 2. Hey, and once again, don't forget about my Patreon. There is a link below in the description. And we do have a new patron this week. His name is Steve Thomas. Thank you so much, Steve, for joining the Patreon. We do have a private Discord over there where we do have some activity going on. Still trying to build the community, and we would love for you to be part of that community. And with that said, everyone, don't forget, be safe out there. Get out and create something. Print, prep, paint, repeat. And until the next video, everybody, we'll see ya.